human has opinions and ideas of their own. With that vein, we often see arguments form up because of that. Because as in not every single human being is the same, that means there's going to be disagreements. And with those disagreements comes the idea of forgiveness and reconciliation. And with that, we see two certain ideas pop up where it's forgive and forget, which is, as in the title, you forgive someone and then forget whatever they did to make you need to forgive them in the first place. While on the other end, it involves a lot of whys. Essentially, the most important question that is often left unanswered. Why did you do this? Why did you say that? Why? So, there's two different outlooks on the ideas of forgiveness and reconciliation. Today's quotation is, we can't skip ahead to reconciliation without first recognizing the truth in all its forms. Which I would say I agree with. For my first example, I'm going to talk about heartbreak. Heartbreak, be it with a romantic partner or a friend, it hurts. And you, in a way, need to reconcile with yourself over why it happened and also the other person. And if you can't get that closure with the other person, it becomes reconciling with yourself that you're not going to get that closure. And then finally finding acceptance. Heartbreaks always hurt at first, but eventually they stop, as in when you finally reconcile with yourself about it, you eventually learn to distance your emotions from that, to know that it happened, and now you don't need to be putting the energy that you were into it. And so it's part of the idea of like asking the question why, where one may want to ask, why did we break up? Why are we separating? It's a series of questions that many want asked after a breakup or after losing a friend. And without that or with it, that's how we eventually reach a conclusion upon the situation, where we might reconcile that we're not going to get closure, or we do get closure. For my second example, I'd like to discuss just general arguments and debates. For an argument or debate, to not go in with all the information is often how those happen. But in that way, if they often end with an unsatisfying conclusion, where not everyone is satisfied with the answers given, because not every point of view or every background and information has been taken into account. And that's where the idea of truth comes in, where we must know the truth to be able to argue and debate. So argue a concept, or debate a concept, or just have a general argument properly, because without knowing all sides of this argument or all sides of this debate, it ends up being unsatisfying, where there are still maybe individuals who are unaccounted for, and there's no proper reconciliation to that argument. For my third example, I would like to talk about the 5 stages of grief. The 5 stages are a proposed essential theory on the stages of grief that we all go through once grief occurs. Of course, grief is different for everyone, but this is just a general idea, where we can skip stages or stay in one stage for quite a long time. And with that, we have the last stage being acceptance, which I will essentially equate to being reconciliation, where with the first step being bargaining, that's essentially the why stage. Why is the most important question. Why did this happen? Why am I feeling this way? And then it eventually develops into acceptance, as they eventually reconcile with their emotions, with why at some point you're not going to get the answers you want. And in that, in and of itself, is essentially a truth, where you're not going to always have the answers that you want, or get the answers that you want or need. And in that is a form of reconciliation. Humans are complicated. Having emotions is complicated. And in that, we're always attempting to try and interpret emotions, to interpret how we should interpret emotions. And we see this with heartbreak, with arguments, with essentially the 5 stages of grief, where we're describing grief as a concept, as an emotion, as 5 stages, rather than just describing it as the emotion it is. So in all these scenarios, to finally reach a sense of peace, to finally reach that reconciliation, one needs truth. And it might not be the truth that we want, but it is blatant that we do need truth. We either need the truth that we're not going to get closure, or there was no reason why, or we're going to get the actual truth from that person saying, this is why, this is what happened. We're not always going to get the truth that we want, but no matter what truth we get, it is always needed to reach that stage of reconciliation. Thank you.